Come on and tell your story. Come on and tell your story. Come on and tell your story. Motivated every day. Living in victory every day. Living in victory every day. No matter what they say. No matter what they say. Living in victory every day. Living in victory every day. No matter what they say. Living in victory every day.
Nicole Larsen L.I.V.E, living in victory every day.
Welcome, it's Nicole Larsen L.I.V.E, living in victory every day. From behind the bridge, today's main guest shares his experience of being shot multiple times and how his trauma transformed his life to now one of advocacy. Did you ever find out who was the person that shot you?
Yeah, actually I didn't know. My mind was saying, I wonder if this little young boy, if he wasn't here now, how I would have interacted with him.
Also, expert guests Shakir London and author June Doyle bring some insightful and motivational messages along with an inspiring song from artist beyond peer. So, stay with us.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movie Town, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Chez Jean Designs in San Fernando provides customized clothing from sassy to corporate, conservative to casual. Email janiskazo@gmail.com or call 793-1668 for consultations.
Seven is out, all day is in. WESN News on the hour.
The resilience of the human spirit, turning tragedy into opportunity. And today I am looking forward to hearing from my guest who had to do just that. Turn it into an opportunity. And what am I talking about, or who am I talking about? Let me introduce him first of all. Dwayne Thomas, it's a pleasure to have you with us here.
It's a pleasure to be here, Miss Larsen.
Indeed.
Yes, it is.
You are calling me Miss Larsen. You always do that, and you're dating me. So make me sound a little younger, now you can call me Nicole.
Nicole, yes.
You know, I've known you for about 18 years. Is it about 18 years?
It's about 18 years. I think it's in 2005, thereabout, yeah.
Yeah, it was around that time.
Yes.
And I think that was the genesis of us getting to know each other.
Yes.
And I'm looking at you now, I'm saying to myself, oh my goodness, isn't God good?
Yes, he is.
As we talk about turning tragedy into opportunity, your story is just that.
Yes, he is.
You know, when we talk about 5 bullets and left for dead, and here you are today, still standing, you are going forward. And I use that word standing because we're going to talk a little bit about where you are today and how you've had to traverse this new life that you've had to embrace. Kerwin, let me just tell you from the onset, hats off to you, guy. I really, really appreciate you. I thank God for you. I thank God for your life and what he's doing in your life. Because for so many other people, they would have given up. We need to know where you got that strength from, with the resilience to move on. Share with us, tell us, and don't make me start to cry, because I've seen your eyes starting to water and mine.
I know.
Can't afford to have that.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Well, we can go to the genesis.
Yeah.
You know, I think the genesis of it all started in 2005. I mean, I was like around 22 years or 23 years thereabout. I went to visit a friend's home. You know, I was active. I was working at Peak Technologies at the time. I had my 2 kids, Keziah Thomas, Sydney Thomas. My son was a year and a half. My daughter was some months, let's say about five months. I mean, as young people, I was always engaged in positive activity, living in the so-called hotspots of Baslan Street or Bart Street, Laventille, behind the bridge, you know, as it's commonly known. I mean, I always wanted a way out of that type of living, you know, trying to see how best I could always live on the positive part, do positive things, do the right things, you know, because I always had that upbringing. You know, I was in the boys' choir in Trinity Cathedral. My grandmother always expressed upon us that we need to go to church every Sunday, and so I was always active in church. You know, I knew God at that time, and you know, trying to make those interventions to come out of that life. You know, I was engaged, and I remember this Friday I just finished work and I went and I took my haircut and I went to visit a friend's home in Laventille. Actually, it was just to pick him up, you know, for us to go and have a meeting and stuff because we had an event coming up. And whilst when I went up, there's an area that I know, it's an area that it's common to me, you know. And when I went to pick him up, I tried reaching him on the phone. I didn't get him on the phone, and then whilst I was going down there, I was calling him, and he's like, "Well, I'm coming up," and I was making my way back to the vehicle when someone approached me, and didn't know who it was, and I got shot, and I fell on the ground. I didn't know what was going on at that time, and then the person came over me after and started shooting, you know, and my words to him was like, "Bro, I have a little daughter," you know, because I was just seeing like my life just flashing before me. I've never gotten shot before. I don't know what it is to live in that lifestyle. I've never lived that lifestyle before.
They did not expect you to be there?
I really don't know what it was. I don't know if it was an initiation to someone joining a gang or whatever, but I knew that I had a chain on my neck, a little small chain on my neck, and they took that chain whilst in the process of shooting me and that kind of thing. I remember trying to pull myself up to the vehicle and trying to keep myself, you know, like hidden away from. So most of the gunshots that I got after getting shot in my back was to the lower extremity of my body. Yeah, and then after in the distance, you saw that the persons like they ran off. And then my partner eventually made his way back up to the vehicle when he heard probably the gunshots. And then they grabbed me and tried to put me into the vehicle, in the back of the tray. And I was like, no, don't put me in the tray. I want to go in the back seat because I was the driver of the vehicle.
So why were you asking not to be put
because
in the tray?
I felt that, why you want to put me in the tray of the vehicle? You know, I said, put me in a more comfortable position because I was just like holding my stomach.
So at that time you didn't realize?
I didn't know, no.
Okay.
I've never gotten shot. I don't know anything about those
So you were
things.
numb? Was your body numb? Were you
I
in
was
pain
just,
at all?
I wasn't in pain, but I knew that I was just holding like my stomach area because, I don't know, I was just holding my stomach area, and they put me into the back of the vehicle. And from there, they proceeded to start the vehicle. They was getting trouble to start the van. And then the whole thing, when they, from the scene of the crime, well, the situation there, to the hospital, it was just like a movie. You know, I in the back seats and I telling them, hey, put the van in first gear, the van in third gear, put it in first. And I was navigating the entire thing to the hospital. You know, I remember when we was turning onto Duke Street, we saw the ambulance coming with the sirens blazing, and we were like, they pull up in front of the ambulance, and they was like, hey, we have a man here, and they were like, no, they're going on a crime scene, no, they can't just pick up anybody, and then they had to put me back in the vehicle, and I remember they just taking me and then putting me on a bed, and they ripped down the clothes and whatever, and they gave me consent to sign to do the surgery, and that's all I remember.
This sounds like a real life movie.
It is actually, it is.
It
You know,
is.
it's a scene from my life in 2005.
Yeah, and you know what I like about this movie? There's a fantastic ending.
Yeah.
There's a victorious ending.
Definitely it is.
You know, sometimes what the enemy has planned for our demise, God has a way of turning it around for our good.
Yes, it is.
And so you were in hospital, bullets, 5 of them. You were having an operation, under operation. What were your family saying at this time?
Wow. I know for a fact that family without a shadow of a doubt knew that I was never involved in any kind of criminal activities. They would know of my whereabouts. They would know about the initiatives that I would have been involved in. They would have known the friends I would have kept. Yeah. However, you know, sometimes, you know, your grandmother or they would just give you like a little heads up. Be careful when you're going up there, or be careful, because sometimes I have a kind of way, like if I am moving with persons, I was more or less the driver. I had my vehicle at that time, at that age as well too. So after events, I would be the one to drop everybody home, and then I had to traverse my way back home by myself. And so they will always tell me, hey, you can't just be, you know, like doing those things now. But because I never lived a life where I was like doing wrong out there, I never felt it necessary to always have to be looking over my shoulder or to know that someone is coming after me. I never felt it like that.
You know, as you say that, there's an old saying, you didn't have cocoa in the sun, so you didn't have to look for rain.
Definitely,
because you knew the sort of life that you were living, the family, how they brought you up. And we'll talk a little bit about stereotyping, because when one is involved in that type of crime that you were, and you were the victim, people may tend to think he obviously has to be something. So we talk about that.
I got that.
Yeah, you did.
Actually, when you know, as you said that, and I think around that time we were starting to see a lot of criminal activities where young men were being shot, or young men were being involved in crime and criminality and this kind of thing. And as a young person living behind the bridge as well too, you know, they tend to look at you a certain way, even at the hospital. The reason why I think at the beginning when I came into the hospital, a lot of persons didn't really have that type of stigma towards me, is when they started to see like hundreds of people flocking into the hospital, inquiring, you know.
Hold that thought, we'll be right back. More still to come.
This whole situation was the lowest point in my life. I think that I never envisioned being shot in the first place, and then to being on a wheelchair or paraplegic, you know, not being able to use my legs.
Nicole Larsen L.I.V.E, living in victory every day.
Scrub City, your #1 choice for medical uniforms, medical accessories, and footwear. Scrub City, 2 locations, San Fernando and Chaguanas, or check our Facebook page.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best. I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in-depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Sight, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. only on WESN, Content Capital.
Gen Style customizes cards, limitless in expressions. For special occasions, call 1-868-7N-STYLE. Instagram Gen Style Cards TT, Facebook at Gen Style.
Live a life of victory and find peace and hope in today's troubled world. Visit us at Holiness Revival Ministries. Call 628-7407 or 622-5826.
We're back with you with Dwayne Thomas, and it's all about resilience. And just before the break, Kerwin, we were talking about that stigma that one could have, perhaps because of the way you look and the area that you came from. But at the hospital, you had hundreds of people coming to say, well, oh my gosh, this can't be our boy. This can't be Kerwin that they do that too.
Definitely. I think that, the first time persons heard of it happened on Friday the 10th. 2005, around 7 p.m. It wasn't like it was too late. In the hospital, when the news started to spread, persons started to flock to the hospital. Even after I would have done my surgery, let's just say the Saturday and the Sunday, a lot of patients, the other person who was on the bed right next to me, their family themselves couldn't even come to see them because of the amount of persons who were visiting the wards, you know. Patients told me that they came and they couldn't even come as close as the bed to say, well, they were there. You know, so a lot of patients were concerned. I have a real big family that is very supportive of me as well. And I think that because of that family network and persons understanding our family and who we are and what we stand for, they would have known that, you know, this is something, you know, so they wanted to come to ensure. Yeah.
You know what, Kerwin, I want us to bring this point home because I think we have to let the public know that people who live in hot spots, not everybody's into crime.
Definitely.
You know, there are people that are working hard. They are known, lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, you know, people who want to be a good citizen.
Definitely. I think that there's a stigma attached to persons who live in these so-called hotspots, you know, and as I said, yes, there may be pockets of persons, a minority of persons who may be involved in whatever negative aspects that creates that kind of negative effect, but there are definitely a lot of persons behind the bridge, Nelson Street, Beaton, Laventille Road, Laventille in general, that wants to do good. I think that innate in everyone is that ability to want to get themselves to a better position. I think everybody wants that for themselves. You know, so for you to say that persons behind the bridge, all of them are classed in that way, I don't believe in that philosophy or that notion, you know. I believe there are good people who live behind in those areas as well. So,
and not one or two, hundreds,
no, there are
thousands
of persons,
of people
you know, but we can't just paint everyone with the same brush, you know. Yeah, definitely. And I was one of those persons. Unfortunately, I would have suffered and been a victim of crime. And as I said, after the hospital, my aunt, I think Sedona, and I will call her name Sedona Solandi, she felt it necessary even after I came out of the hospital, because I would have spent 2 weeks in the hospital and I came out of the hospital. And, you know, at that time she felt it necessary that she wanted to be so involved. So she asked me to come down to spend some time with her in Diego Martin, you know, and I obliged, and I went down there and she made up a room and, you know, put everything in place for me, you know, and there's where I spent like about 3 months, and I think there's where I met you. I think one of the persons that she was going to church with, I think it's Mr. Gary or something like that, she was going to church with. I think, I don't know if it's Desmond or Raymond and the Youth in Focus team, some other persons, and I think there's where I met you guys there, you know. And that was a real hard time for me, you know.
From the moment I met you, and I think it was probably about 2 weeks or so after the incident, you never looked as though anything had changed. There was a resilience that I saw, and you know, it was amazing. And were you pretending? Were you like, listen, this is hard, but I got to do it? I've always wanted to ask you.
That I think that well, this whole situation was the lowest point in my life. I think that I never envisioned being shot in the first place, and then to being on a wheelchair or paraplegic, you know, not being able to use my legs. You know, I was an active football player, basketball player. You know, I played in Republic Bank Cup, captain teams, you know, basketball and football. I was always athletic, you know. So being in a position like that, not being able to walk, and then not being able to play football, not being able to take care of my daughter and my son, you know, that's the basic things that a father will do.
Because they were small, I think. One of your children was about a year.
Yeah, my son was a year and a half, and my daughter was some months. She was like about 6 or 7 months. You know, so not being able to do a lot of things with my children. And I think that my son would know me like moving around and walking, and I'll probably have some pictures I will show you with my son, you know, lifting him up and that kind of thing. But my daughter may not remember me as someone moving around, walking and that kind of thing.
So that transition from you know, carrying your children, and now you can't as you would like to. You are now stuck in a wheelchair. I want to give kudos to your aunt Sedona.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, you know, I looked at her taking care of you. There was nothing that you wanted for.
No.
You know, she loved you, and that was a big responsibility for her, obviously, because she had her children and her own family, and so. But that's her nature. Sedona can't help it.
I think that's the nature of our family, especially from my entire family. But I know for sure. Well, as you know, Ms. Sedona is Christian, her whole house, and when I came into that environment, it was an environment of love and healing and just nurturing, you know. My aunts would have gone to lengths. And at that time, I was suffering physical pain as well too from the injury. I was getting a lot of nerve pain, and actually I was in a really bad. I never used to come outside at all. I just used to lay down on a bed, not moving at all. And yes, I was depressed. Yes, I was like, you know, I'm saying that everybody else living their lives, you know, especially like, because the phone calls became lesser, the visits became less.
Tell me about that, because
300
people come to look for you because they hear about it, and yes, they want to show, but there's a time after that. It
life has to go on.
Life has to go on, and they go ahead with your life, and then their life.
And I'm stuck with living with the realities of my life, my new life, being in a wheelchair and not being, not knowing exactly how I'm gonna move forward with this, you know. But I would.
But you mastered well, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
You did.
Seriously.
Yeah, you did. But I sensed that there was something, obviously, because I mean, there you are.
Transition.
But you mastered, and I think when you saw us coming to look for you, you decided, you see me how to show them that. You know, I good man, I can handle this.
Yeah, but I think that sometimes I would have cried myself to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, I remember one time I had my girlfriend called Sabrina Harper. She is 19 years now. She and I we are together, and I remember sleeping with Bible on Job, and my mother on one side, Patricia Thomas, and my wife Sabrina on the other side, and I'm in tears.
Yeah.
You know, as I said, I was in physical pain. I was in emotional pain. I was in all the pains that you could ever think that anyone could be in.
Listen, God had a plan for your life.
Definitely He did, and He still has.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Of course He does. I mean, and you have journeyed, you have decided. Okay, so tell me, what was that catalyst where you decided, you know what? This is my lot in life right now.
Yeah.
But God don't give you more than you can bear. Going forward. When did the aha moment come for you?
I think that it was a point where I had a vehicle. After I got shot, I had a vehicle, but my vehicle at that time was gears. So the transition of having, I think depending on persons, knowing the kind of spirit that I have and the kind of go-getter kind of mentality and not wanting to depend on persons. Not that I don't want to depend on persons, but I am also dependent upon God. And you know, sometimes God will want you to move, and then persons may move on their own time, and then it disrupts how you flow and that kind of thing. So when I started back to drive, because let me just go back a little bit.
Put a pin in it, because I want to go into those days where you know that independence, because now you're driving so you're starting to feel,
Definitely.
You're starting to feel yourself
Oh
going.
gosh, that's what it was. Yeah, I think that it was.
Yeah. When we come back, we'll continue, and of course, this is Nicole Larsen Live. We're living in victory every day.
Every day.
More still to come. Today's expert, psychotherapist Shakir London, author June Doyle, and artist Beyond Pair.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit? What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive, it is not rehabilitative.
We the police officers, we are professional, and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole, it's for all of us in public.
Chez Jean Designs in San Fernando provides customized clothing from sassy to corporate, conservative to casual. Email janiskazo@gmail.com or call 793-1668 for consultations.
Living in victory every day, we are back with you. Our guest is Dwayne Thomas, and we were just about to get into that place where you spoke about gaining independence, where you started to feel, I gotta do this.
The thing about it is that, there's a quote that says that when one dream dies, you need to dream an extreme. You know, I think that I used to be a air conditioning technician. I was an air conditioning technician before, and I realized that I wouldn't be able to climb ladders anymore. I remember one thing though, my mom, when I got shot on a Friday, This Sunday, my mom brought a document from HEC stating that we got a new home in Valencia. So God had already started put transition and put things in place for me to move to a new area with a new ideology, with a new purpose, with a new calling, you know. And we would have moved from Port of Spain, the area that I was. And I think it was about 2 years after, 2008, I think we transitioned up to Valencia, unknown territory, you know, because we know we live in Port of Spain, 5 minutes away from Independence Square and all these other easy access points.
Was that good for you, moving out of the environment?
Yeah, definitely. I think that helped me to heal more. If you know Valencia, well, Valencia is a place that is very scenic and, you know, more nature, the beaches and all the other things. So it was a new environment, and also it was accessible as well. You know, where I live, it's flat, so it's an easy in-out kind of arrangement. I remembered one time, as I told you before, the vehicle that I drove before, it was gear, so it was hard for me to maneuver. I couldn't even maneuver the vehicle, so I had a vehicle there I couldn't drive. So I had to sell the vehicle and look for other vehicle. I remember I purchased a vehicle on a Friday. And on the Saturday, I had to get a particular mechanism, because now I drive with a particular device where I use my hands to drive, you know, to control the vehicle. And I remember purchasing this mechanism this Saturday. And the Saturday on the road already, you know, I jump in the vehicle, I try it out for a little bit. And I remember this one time that my wife, she was working in Maraval at the time, because remember I told you we were from Port of Spain. And I didn't tell her I was coming down, like the Saturday when I got the mechanism, and I just showed up after work. By our work, and I was like, outside. And she was like, you outside? And, you know, I just pick up, and I think they're like from there, you know, just being able to move around and do those things, And after that, I began like enrolling myself in different classes and courses, because I always had aspirations of going back to school, because I was in the process when I got shot. I was at Trinswiller College, I was doing over CXC subjects and all these things. And then I began enrolling myself, doing a lot. I went to CETAL College, I did marketing, public relations and advertising. I have a diploma in marketing, you know, a certificate in advertising, public relations.
Gosh, I'm hearing again what the enemy has planned for
you.
Definitely. God turns it around.
Definitely.
You are the head of a number of organizations as well. I want to also, before that, just touch on the support of your family. The support of my family has been tremendous throughout, you know. My immediate family, my mom, my wife, my daughter, my son, my aunts, my uncles, my I think that my family is one of the things that gives me that level of encouragement and push, you know, especially my kids, to be able to really be there for them and be there active, you know, active in their lives. You know, I would have dropped my daughter from preschool to even now she's working, and I had to drop her, pick her up. I always was that type of father. And it never changed.
No, it never changed, no.
They're proud of their father too, but I can see you when you're dropping them off and they're saying, boy, this is
daddy,
my daddy.
You know, and I was always involved with the teachers, always involved in meetings, school projects. Sometimes I will have a thing on cheat. No, I've been real, help out with the school projects. So I was always involved, always involved in my children's life, you know, from graduation ceremonies to I was always there, and I take pride by that, and I really want to encourage some of the fathers out there as well. Just kind of side note, that they really need to kind of be there for their children. You know, it don't matter. You may not have $1 million, but I think that the time that you invest, the quality time that you invest with your children does make a lot of big difference in their lives. You know.
Well, not only in their lives, because you're an advocate and you are doing a lot of work with Disabled Peoples International. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
All right. That journey started, well, to be honest with you, whilst I was working in Peak Technologies, and I remember they had a protest in 2002 or something or thereabouts, 2004. And I was passing on Ryson Road, and they had a protest on Flour Mills where they were protesting for jobs and all the other amenities for equalities and stuff. And I remember saying, hey, look at these people protesting outside Flour Mills, you know. And some years after, not knowing that I myself in that same position.
So when you saw
that's when I was on my feet.
You were able-bodied.
I was able-bodied,
Not realizing that a couple
some
years
after. Wow. And not knowing that God has now placed me in a position now to advocate for persons who are differently able. In 2019, I would have, I went up for election as the president for the Disabled People International as the DPI, and I wasn't successful. I knew that because I would have done a lot of community work, I know of the abilities and skills that I have. I know that I would have been able to bring a lot to the table, you know, bring a lot to the organization. Something about me and the way that I would have, you know, presented myself, they felt that I would have been able to do a good job as a public relations officer. So in 2019, I was elected as public relations officer, and I'm currently still public relations officer for the national executive. However, our region in the DPI, our organization is made up of 5 regions: East, West, North, Central, and Tobago, and I am now the president of the Eastern Region, Eastern Regional Assembly, and well, we have AGM this year, well, it's supposed to be at the end of this year, and I will be going back up to challenge the position of the chairman of the
And I see that
the
glint
organization.
in your eyes as you say challenge,
definitely.
you're going forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Listen,
definitely.
the world is your oyster. Is there anything that you think that you cannot do? Because you're a dreamer. But not only do you dream, you work towards that dream. And you don't allow anything, including not being able to walk.
And you know, there's a saying, I think, by Les Brown. He says that dreams without goals are just dreams. You know, so we always have to be able to, I am goal oriented. I will set certain targets for myself and I'll go after it. I do believe that nothing is impossible, you know, especially once you have God with you, you know, fighting on your behalf and paving the way. Because if this is a course that God has designed for me to follow in, I think that He will part the waters, the Red Seas.
Oh, you're preaching.
You know, I'm being real with you.
It.
No, He will part the Red Seas.
Absolutely.
And He will, and He tells us, He give us the authority to trample upon scorpions and upon snakes and the other. And I am a firm believer, because I think that what this entire thing would have done for me, it would have rebuilded my faith, you know, giving me that bold assurance, that confidence, knowing that God is with me, you know, and I continue to hold fast and true to that.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question. You have to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I will.
All right. You're sure you're going to be?
I will.
All right. 2 questions. Did you ever find out who was the person that shot you?
Actually, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know the person. From what I'm hearing is it was a young man who was like about either 15 or 17 years. He was still going like a junior secondary school at that time. A lot of persons would have contacted me, and I just been real. You know, hey, we know who the man is and thing, because a lot of persons felt that they needed to seek vengeance for my situation, you know, and I was lying down on a bed, and I could have said, well, yes or no, and I chose to say that vengeance is the Lord's.
How did you forgive him? Was it difficult?
It was difficult. I remember this one time I was doing, I studied guidance and counseling at UE, and in our final year, we had to go into the YTC prisons in order for us to interview some young men and whatever. And, you know, whilst interviewing this young man, in my mind I was saying, you know, I wonder if this young boy, if he wasn't here now, you know, how I would have interacted with him. And I said, I would have liked to just talk to him to find out, well, bro, what's the reason why you would have done something like that, you know, and look my position and whatever. And it wasn't a place of like animosity towards him or anything like that, but just to kind of understand that crime doesn't just affect the person, you know. Crime affects everyone associated with that person. It affects the mothers, it affects the person's children, you know. So I just wanted to find out from him, you know, because most of the persons who are in there, some of them are remorseful for the crimes that they were committing, or at least they appear that way. And then there are those who just are hardened criminals, they just serving their time to come back out into society. But I just wanted to offer some encouraging words. And I know that I forgive him as well too, because I think that in everything that we do, forgiveness is really for us, you know. If we want to tote the burden of unforgiveness, that's a heavy load.
It is.
You know, so persons really need to understand that in order for me to transcend and move forward, I had to find forgiveness in my heart towards that young man.
Kerwin, I want to thank you so much for taking us through this journey of grief, because there was a grieving process and that healing, and to where God has you today. And I know that the best is yet to come.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
May God continue to richly bless you. Really happy to have you.
Thank you so much.
This is Nicole Larsen Live, and it's Living in Victory every day.
And now let's hear from today's expert, psychotherapist Shakir London.
It is something to see the resilience of the human spirit, you know, where we are not willing to give up or to fall allow ourselves to stay down, but that we will pick ourselves and move forward. Cohen, it was such a pleasure to hear your story and you reflecting on your experience and your life. And I'm glad that you did not allow that situation to limit the call upon your life. You know, sometimes all we see is the end result. All we see is the well put together Dwayne Thomas sharing his story and what he's been through and what he's doing, the things that he's doing now. But we miss the journey. Yeah, we miss the countless battles that he would have been fighting and you know, the battle of the body, trying to treat with what has been, what would have happened, the battle of the mind, the battle of the emotions, and the battle of the spirit. Yeah, and we ask the question, why me? How do I move on from this? How do I pick up the pieces of my life and move forward? You know, there's the perception of others that we have to deal with sometimes, the stereotypes or the stigmas that other people may have, you know, based on this circumstance. But I want to say, Cohen, your work is so necessary because there's so many people that get stuck. You know, they get stuck. All they see is the loss, what I have lost, you know, and for many of them, they feel alone. You know, I'm in this situation and there's no one there that really understands. You know, you have the feelings of guilt, the feelings of fear about the future, you know, feelings of depression, yeah, feelings of anger. And, you know, and how do I process these feelings? Who is there to help me and to provide that support? You know, and so for many of us, and for people that are listening who are in situations like yours, Cohen, you know, it really comes down to being able to reframe their perception of their situation. You know, I'm seeing this. I remember years ago, I was working with a company that worked with persons that had different types of disabilities. And there was a young man there who was a paraplegic. He was in a car accident as a young adult. And here he is in this wheelchair and he was stuck. Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, he was stuck. And there's so many people out there that are stuck. Am I able to reframe my perception of the world? Yeah, where it's more than just this situation that I'm in, but that I'm willing to say, let me look forward to what purpose God may have put me here for and allowed me to stay here for, you know, and being able to take step by step, or take these steps to move towards that purpose. This is not the end. I will not give up. You know, I will not back down. I will not allow myself to stay here. You know, your purpose cannot be taken away from you by anyone or by anything. Yeah, God gives that to you. And so can I begin to forge this path anew? You know, and putting myself in a place where I'm going to keep pushing. And so that is why I really appreciate your story, because you kept pushing, you kept fighting in spite of what you went through, in spite of the situation. And, you know, it's good to have the support around you, the people around you that care and that are there for you. But, you know, for those that are listening and those that are watching, I will not give up. I'm speaking those things into my life. I will continue on. I will keep pushing. I will keep fighting. And there's purpose to be had, even in this situation.
When I was very young, I thought that when I was 20, I'd be a millionaire. When I was 30, I'd own my home. And when I was 40, I'd be married to Halle Berry. The funny thing about plans is that sometimes we don't plan for the unexpected. I'm now 41 years old. I'm a couple $100,000 shy of my $1 million mark. I own my own home, and Halle Berry is still waiting for my phone call. But what I didn't plan for was going totally blind at 31. My name is Marlon Perejo. I'm a member of the Trinidad Police Service. And as you can see from the fact that my eyes are closed, I am completely blind. In 2011, I lost all of my sight due to glaucoma. And for a month, I was depressed. I would pray to God, God, please, please let me see again. If you would just let me see again, I'll do anything you want. I'll embrace all the plans you have for me, if you just make me see again. And then, believe it or not, I heard a small voice. It was just a whisper. It said, Daddy, move from the toilet, I want to pee. But then, I heard another voice. And this voice said, my son, my plans for you involve you being blind. And then I realized this. Could it be that I can still fulfill all of what I want and all God wants for me, with the fact that I still am unable to see past my nose. Over the years, I've realized that a disability is a problem, but it's not the problem. The real problem is ignorance, and the only way to get rid of ignorance is through education. I educated myself in all sorts of things, namely, or mainly rather, learning and delving in the world. I've learned that there are so many things I could do as a blind person, even as a police officer. I studied public speaking, leadership, communication, computers, everything you could think of. And now, I am still a member of the police service. Thank God for that. I'm a father of 3 beautiful girls, a husband of 1 beautiful wife. She's not Halle Berry, but she's still just as beautiful and even more talented, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, you cannot change what happens to you. I cannot change the fact that I can't see, but I can't change my attitude towards it. Yeah? So this is my story. My name is Marlon Parejo, and I am still a blind man, but I'm also a serving police officer, a doting husband, a wonderful, I believe, good father, and also a child of the Most High King. Thank you.
More still to come from the desk of June Doyle and artist beyond pair. Nicole Larsen L.I.V.E, living in victory every day.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzoneTT.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Live a life of victory and find peace and hope in today's troubled world. Visit us at Holiness Revival Ministries. Call 628-7407 or 622-5826. And now some motivation and inspiration from the desk of June Doyle.
You must tell yourself, no matter how hard it is or how hard it gets, no one is coming to rescue me. So I'm going to have to make it happen. It is normal to feel anxious about our tomorrows, but tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day have enough troubles of its own. We must believe with every fiber in our body that God will work everything today and tomorrow and in the future together for our good. Once you start to believe in yourself, the real magic begins. One of the takeaway lessons from the story of Naaman in the Bible is that God meets us where we are. No matter how feeble our faith may be, God is looking for you to make one step forward that shows him that you believe in his power. The rest is now in God's hands. God has troubled the waters. When you pass through the waters, God will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not overwhelm you. This is June Doyle, author and motivational speaker, signing out. Keep positivity alive. Let's make the world a better place for you and for me and for everyone.
Nicole Larsen L.I.V.E, living in victory every day.
You know, Psalm 34 says, I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praise shall continually be in my mouth. Yes? So today we come to give praise and thanks, no matter what we face. We wouldn't complain, but we will give praise. Yeah. As I rise out of my bed, thank you, Lord, for another day. Because I know a lot of family and friends didn't make it. So Lord, after you showed me much faithfulness what could be worse than ungratefulness? And if I must fail, a little pain along the way, before I complain, I gotta give praise. I still have God and I still got breath. Before I complain, I gotta give thanks and praise in Jesus' name. Cause it could have been much worse than this. Give thanks and praises, no matter what I face. Before I complain, though life not easy, I still have my heartbeat, and it is not an easy road that I walk in. But thank God that I still have my 2 feet. Cause yeah, I've been through a lot, but still your love protect me from the things that I don't see. Yeah, before I open up my mouth and my lips get stained, Father God, I wouldn't complain. What I'm saying, if I must fail, a little pain along the way, before I complain, I gotta give praise. I still have God and I still got bread. Before I complain, I gotta give thanks and praise in Jesus' name. Cause it could have been much worse than this. Give thanks and praises, no matter what I face. Yeah, yeah. Sing it out, praise. Say give praise. You at home. Yeah, everybody give praise. So give thanks and praises, cause it's a joy to be living. Everybody sing it. I must fail, a little pain along the way, before I complain, I gotta give praise. Cause I still have God and I still got breath. Before I complain, yeah, give thanks and praise in Jesus' name. Cause it could have been much worse than this. Give thanks and praises, no matter what I face. Yeah, if all I have is peace and rice, still everything they go nice. Cause he who watch over my life is Jesus Christ. Though weeping may endure for a night, joy come in the morning light. So no matter what the devil might send my way, still I'm gonna lift up Jesus' name with thanks and praises, no matter what I face. Before I complain, I gotta give praise.
Such courage and resilience and determination. Thank you to Kerwin Thomas for inspiring us all with your journey. Thank you to our expert Shakir London, bringing the professional insight. Marlon Pario for his optimism. Author June Doyle sharing pearls of wisdom, and artist Beyond Peer for arousing hope through song. And of course to you, our valued and victorious viewers. Until next time, it's Nicole Larsen Live. We're living in victory every day.